Hello and welcome back to Town Meeting TV. My name is Emily Brewer and today I am joined with Emma Danaher, who has just been named Miss Vermont's Teen for, so we're in the middle of 2025. So it's a year-long title. So you will be Miss Vermont's Teen until next May?
Yeah.
Cool, okay. Emma, thank you for being here with me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
I would love if maybe you do a quick introduction, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll talk about your experience.
Okay, so I'm Emma. This is my third year competing for Miss Vermont's Teen, and I'm so excited that I got crowned. I live in Essex. I'm a snowboarder. I coach Girls on the Run, and my platform is called Limitless Miss, where I give scholarships to young women to give them access to extracurricular activities.
That is so awesome. And so this is your third year competing, you said. Congratulations on finally getting the title. That's so awesome. So what does it mean to you after 3 years?
It's so important to have the experience of 3 years under my belt because I've gotten to watch the last 2 title holders before me, and as a local title holder, kind of explore and reach out to the community and build my own platform before having the state title.
Sure.
And I'm so excited to expand my community service initiative so that I can give access to young women to let them participate in extracurricular activities. I know how important they were in my life. So being able to give girls that opportunity is so important because I know that not everyone can afford it.
That's so true. And so we'll chat a little bit more about that in a little bit. Definitely. I'm curious, how has the reception been amongst your friends and family?
So much support. I am so grateful to have that support system behind me, and they're rooting for me. My grandmother, Robin Danaher, was a huge help in helping my community service initiative, Limitless Miss, become a 501c3. My mom is my biggest supporter and really helped manage all 3 years, and was so proud of me. That was the first thing I thought. I was like, I am so excited to hear what my mom has to say about me winning. And yeah, and for my friends at school, to be honest, I'm pretty quiet at school, but I do have some close friends, and they were all really excited. But for everyone that doesn't know me that well to be like, oh, congratulations, Emma, I was like, yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be a little weird, like people that have never talked to you before, like, hey, congrats.
Yeah.
But it's still probably pretty cool to hear.
Definitely.
So tell me a little bit about how you balance doing pageants and now, looking forward to this upcoming year as Miss Vermont's Teen, while also you're 16, so still being in school, doing a lot of extracurriculars. How has that been for you leading up to it, and how do you expect that to be in this next year?
Yeah, like you said, balance is so important, and prioritizing things that are important to me, like school, always comes first. Second is the pageant, and then I also have a job. So letting my support system and my managers and keeping everybody in the loop for what I need to make sure that I don't get burnt out is one of the most important things. And
yeah, I'm so glad to hear you have such a strong support system because it's really important. And I'm curious how you got involved with the Miss Vermont organization and just pageants in general.
So one of my teachers, Miss Graham from 7th grade, emailed my mom being like, I think this organization would be amazing for Emma. She seems like a great leader and could really benefit from this program. And at first I was like, oh, like a pageant? Like I feel like there's a lot of stereotypes behind them.
Sure.
So I was a little bit like, okay, like I guess I'll try it. But after my first year and actually discovering like what it's about and the purpose and making so many friends, my second year was so much, like I was so excited to come back. Like I said, I've made so many friends, and the Miss America opportunity is what the winners are awarded a scholarship. So it's not really a beauty contest, it's more so like your service and the friends you make along the way and just being the best version of yourself on stage.
That's really cool. And so like I said, I would love to dive more into your community service initiative. But before we get there, I want to hear I'd love for you to walk us through just like what the whole process was from starting this year to being crowned Miss Vermont's teen, and we actually have a video of that as well. So why don't we take a look at the video first, and then
I'll answer.
yeah.
Okay, perfect.
There she is, ladies and gentlemen, Emma Danaher.
Is this seriously happening? Like, still kind of processing in my brain. I'm like, wow. I'm like, I say it right here. I'm like, thank you.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. There we go.
I love that.
I love Charlie and Mira so much, the formers, so I was so excited to have them there, putting my crown on and helping me with my sash and just being so supportive. And in the background, one of my really good friends, Emma Anderson, was like jumping up and down. She was a miss. She was competing. She's in that one of the red dresses over there. Yeah, she's amazing.
So all the other girls that were competing, it's a very supportive environment, you'd say.
Definitely, yeah.
I love that we got to see that. So yeah, tell us a little bit about what led to you being crowned.
Yeah, well, first of all, the first phase of competition is interview. So really just putting my paperwork together and then asking myself a bunch of, making a list of questions about each thing on my paperwork and making sure that I'm really prepared going into the interview. And practicing with my mom, my sister, and then also friends and teachers at school to get a little bit of a wider audience and actually feel a little bit of the nerves, but nothing really can replicate the real moment of the real interview. So that's how I prepared for my interview.
Now, is the interview it's in front of a panel of judges?
Yes, it is, yeah. And the judges are people that we've never met before but are all qualified, and then there's one novice who has never judged a pageant, so it's a little bit
interesting.
Of a wider audience.
Yeah.
So the judging is so subjective that it's kind of I know for some people it's hard to understand that it's not points in a basketball game. It's just how you present yourself, and you kind of have to let your true self shine through and be comfortable in front of the judges, and that would be my advice for anyone, just to take a deep breath and know that they're just there to get to know you, and they want you to do your best.
So are they, you said you were preparing, do they ask you questions that you're expecting, or it's all just, it could be anything?
It could be anything. So I give them a fact sheet, which is kind of like a resume. It has my accomplishments, my bucket list, where I go to school, my jobs. And I remember last year the first question I got asked walking into that interview was, what is something that, or what has been the biggest challenge I have faced? And last year I was like, oh gosh, it took me a couple seconds to answer the question. I was like, I don't know directly right now. So also other than my paperwork, figuring out how I'd answer random questions like that and having a formula and knowing myself well enough. And I think that also is really important, knowing that I've done everything I can to prepare so that I'm able to be super calm going into the interview because I'm just prepared.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, it's just you're being yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool, okay. So what is the next step after the interview portion?
Then so interview is the morning before the actual competition that's on stage. So after that, on the real day of the competition, the first thing we have is opening number, where we do a little dance, and then we go off stage, and then we come back for an on-stage question, or for the older girls, a hot topic. So for on-stage question, they asked me about my community service initiative, Limitless Miss, and I'm really thankful that they do that for the teens, because we aren't expected to know so much about hot topics.
Sure.
Yeah, which is really helpful.
I also appreciate that breakup, because there's, you've got a lot going on as a teenager, and then to also have all of these, things swirling around in your head about hot topics. I would much rather hear about, your community service initiative and how you want to serve, your peers. So, so that was, you called it on-stage question.
Yeah.
Okay. And then is there like a time limit for that?
Yeah, so there's 30 seconds technically. In years past, they've had a buzzer if you go over the 30 seconds. This year they didn't have it, which I was very thankful for. And you kind of just have to, before the weekend, start talking and then set a timer for 30 seconds so you kind of know what it feels like. And again, if you go over, it's not the end of the world.
Sure.
And as long as your answer is strong and you have a point with it and you're not rambling on, then the time limit doesn't completely matter.
Did you find it hard, or it was pretty easy to?
I felt really calm and collected. I remember saying backstage to one of the people who was helping, I said, I'm excited and I'm ready. And then she was telling that anecdote to everyone after the show, after I won, which was really, really funny. Yeah, yeah. And so actually a funny story is the day of the competition when it was on stage question, so I was 7th, there was only 7 girls competing, so I was last.
Yep.
And one of the MCs like tried to move on to the next portion without me, but I walked on, I just waved, I was like, hey, like I'm still here. And I honestly think it worked in my favor because I kept it calm and just,
you know,
I didn't take it to heart. I was just like, hey, it's okay, I'm here.
Yeah,
Hey.
you spoke up for yourself.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So interesting. Like, you know, I do think that probably did work in your favor because, you know, it's hard to sometimes be like, oh, actually, you know.
Just go with the flow.
Good for you. I love that.
Thank you.
Okay, so on stage question, and then what happens next?
Then we have fitness, where we model activewear.
Okay.
They're the Miss America organization partners with Rebel Athletic Wear, and their slogan is Rebel Against Bullying. And then we walk around in our red little Rebel outfits and pose. And
So is everybody wearing the same outfit, or?
it's from the same collection.
Okay.
So all the outfits are red, but Sophia and I actually, who is Miss Vermont, and I coincidentally actually wore the same set, which I thought was super cute. Yeah. And also during fitness, they have a like monologue kind of that goes over it to say what I do to stay fit and for how I just keep up with my mental and physical health.
Sure. Okay. Cool. And then, so what comes after fitness?
Talent. That is I love talent. So this year I painted Audrey Hepburn. I speed painted, so I had to paint her in 30 seconds.
That is amazing.
Or sorry, no, 90 seconds. My bad. And I actually had a coach to help me prepare for this. Her name is Annika Wooten. She's a former Miss Kansas, and she is actually a professional speed painter and speed paints at halftime shows at like NBA and WNBA games. She's super inspiring. Yeah. So that was really, really important to prepare for this year.
So art is one of your hobbies then?
Yes, yes. And I am so passionate about art, and I love sharing that passion with other people through my community service initiative. Yeah. And I talked about it a little bit in my interview too, so to be able to bring that onto the stage with my talent is really important. Yes.
Yeah. So what were some of the other, like I feel like this is a very unique talent for, in general, but then also with pageants. Like what is some of the other like typical talents that people do?
Singing, dancing are the two biggest ones. And then the Miss America organization also has an option that's called Her Story, which is what Sophia, Miss Vermont, did. And you can write a poem, you can just recite one that somebody else has wrote, and you can decide to have music behind it. You can have like choreographed parts to it and wear an outfit that goes along with it. And I think Sophia talked about her experience in the military, which is super inspiring, yeah. And a few other girls did Her Story as well.
I like that that is an option. You know, I think you do like traditionally think like, oh, singing, dancing for talent. And it's interesting, it's cool to see like the kind of wide variety that can come out of that.
Yeah.
Would you say talent was your favorite portion of the competition, or?
I think talent and interview.
Because
I like to let my personality show through and get to know the judges and let them get to know me. It kind of sets the stage for the rest of the competition, and it's the biggest part of my score. So learning to love it because it's really important.
Learning to love it. That I like to hear that. Okay, talent. What is that? The end, or is there something else?
And then lastly, there's gown, so I got my gown from a store in Massachusetts, and actually a good little story about my dress is that it was the only dress in the entire store that I liked, and it fit me perfectly. I didn't have to get it altered at all. So that was really special, and I felt
meant to be.
Yeah, I felt so confident in it, and it was so special. Sophia and I's dresses also looked super similar. There were so many things along the weekend that lined up for Sophia and I, which is such a big and cute coincidence. Yeah, but for a gown, we just walk slowly and gracefully, smile, and just have the best time.
Well, that is a very beautiful gown, and I love that, it was meant for you.
Me too.
So after gown, do you all immediately come together and then that is like the end, or do the judges take some time to calculate?
So after gown, there's an intermission, and then we have little sisters. So it's like people under the age of 12, or like young girls under the age of 12, and I don't know, yeah. So mine were my cousin Willow, and then my mom's friends' kids, Vera and Liv, and we all lined up with our evening gowns, and our little sisters had little dresses on too, and then we walked to the middle of the stage and we pose with them. We walk off, we release them to their parents, and during this, the judges are still like calculating, and the auditors are doing that as well. And then after that, the visiting title holders from other states kind of come on and wave, and one of the MCs will say stuff about them. And then there's formers, especially this year because it was a milestone year. I'm the 20th Miss Vermont's teen. It was the 20th anniversary. So all the formers came on, and former Miss Vermont's as well, and they all took a picture.
That's so special.
Yeah, it was. And to get to meet them afterwards too, and hear about their experiences, to get ready for mine, and have them share some wisdom with me was really special.
That's wonderful. And I think there's something to be said about you've competed before and then you become Miss Vermont's teen for the 20th anniversary. I think that's really something.
Yeah, and it's like third time's the charm, and it's the 20th anniversary. It's so special, and I love it.
That's awesome. So we've talked a little bit about, the moment, or we saw the video. Is it like top 3? Like how does that work?
Okay, so first there's special awards like Miss Congeniality, and then there's also Spirit of Miss Vermont and Miss Vermont's Teen, which I am so excited that I won. And there's also, before the competition, you can submit essays to apply for other scholarships. So even if you don't place, you can still win something, which I think is...
That's awesome, yeah.
And so everybody can feel included. So they announced the special award winners, and then top 5 was announced, and then it went like for her 4th runner-up, 3rd runner-up, 2nd runner-up, 1st runner-up, and then the winner.
So when they said 2nd or 1st runner-up,
Ava and I gave each other a huge hug. I'm so proud of her. This year was her first year competing, and I know that's so special because my first year I did not place. So she worked really hard, and I'm really proud of her, and to have gotten close with her, she's super inspiring. And yeah, after I wanted to give her her moment, so I took a step back and clapped for her, and then let her take her little picture with her award, and then I went to center stage, got my crown and sash, got my flowers and waved, and then went off stage to go hug the director, and then Miss Top 5 got announced.
Okay.
Miss Top 5 was already announced, and then they had to answer a onstage question, and then a second one to determine after it's only top 5 because there were so many misses this year.
Okay.
So after I get crowned, then the top 5 get called back up, and then their order is determined.
And then is there a moment where you and Miss Vermont come together at the end?
Yeah.
How did that feel?
That felt so special. I love Sophia so much. She's so inspiring, and I'm so happy that I get to share my year with her. And we've already done so many amazing things together, and I'm so excited to get closer with her.
Oh, I love that.
Yes.
So did you know her before this competition, or but did this year help you guys get a little closer?
Definitely. So in years past, I think everybody is kind of friendly, but not necessarily the closest.
Sure.
Because there's so many girls, and it's kind of hard to get close with everyone, unfortunately. But Sophia was actually a former Miss Vermont's teen.
Okay.
Yeah. And so she kind of knew what she was getting herself into, and then also it being my 3rd year, her and I backstage were mostly helping the newer girls out, and being able to bond over being calm and knowing where we're at. We were actually, so there's limited space in the dressing rooms, but a really fun coincidence is that Sophia and I there's only one person in between us, so I actually helped her get her dress on, and she helped me. She actually did my hair for my interview and did my hair for my gown, which is, again, like so many great coincidences, and that it's so special that I get to tell that story now.
Yeah, that's really like heartwarming to hear too. And so Miss Vermont's Teen and Miss Vermont, throughout the next year, you guys will do a lot of stuff together. Like, could you tell us a little bit about like what's next?
Well, already we have gone to watch Miss Rhode Island and Miss Rhode Island's teen get crowned. We took a little road trip on Saturday. On Sunday for Mother's Day, we visited Costco and volunteered there and helped raise money for the UVM Children's Hospital. And this coming weekend, we're going to New York City to pick out our dresses for nationals.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's so exciting. And then, so we're taking the train down, which I'm super excited for. And we're gonna go watch a bunch of other state titles get crowned.
Cool.
And we're also going to the Coast Guard for their open house. Lots of fun events coming up.
So you're busy.
Excited. Yes, definitely. I've had something every day for the past, I think this is my 9th day of being Miss Vermont's Teen, and I've done 9 things already.
And like we talked about in the beginning, that's why balance is so important.
Definitely.
So tell me a little bit about nationals.
Yeah, so in September we'll be going to Orlando to compete against one girl from each of the 50 states.
Okay.
I've already met Miss New Hampshire's teen and Miss Rhode Island's teen, which was super special because I got to see her get crowned. And I think that we all have a special bond, like before even meeting each other, we know that we're all going to be friends, and I'm super excited to have one friend from each state across the country.
Now, whenever you want to go for a trip, you can just
I'll be like, hey,
let's meet up.
Exactly. It's so special, and I think it's like a very unique experience, and it's once in a lifetime. I'm so excited for nationals.
Absolutely. So now you said when are nationals?
September.
September. Okay. So that's coming up like pretty quick. So is it a similar? Are all the sections the same, or do you have to prepare a little differently?
All the sections are the same, but making sure that everything's a little bit elevated to the national level, because Vermont isn't a super popular pageant state. I'm so excited to bring it this year, because I know for Sophia and I, we both have been involved in the system for multiple years, so we kind of know what we're getting ourselves into. And Sophia competed at nationals when she was Miss Vermont's Teen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be so nice to have
her experience.
Yes.
And her to be able to give me some advice. Yeah. But yeah, all the phases of competition are the same, but it's, instead of being 2 days long, I think it's going to be 11 days.
Oh, wow.
It's a little bit
because there's so many more people as well. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So you're pumped for that then.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
That's awesome. Cool. So I think this is a good moment for us I'd love to hear more about Limitless Miss and kind of how that got started, how it's evolved, and what you're looking forward to in regards to that.
Okay, yes. Limitless Miss I founded because I love extracurricular activities, and they are so important in my life, with Miss Vermont's Teen being one of them, and from that learning confidence and leadership, and also just being able to do the things I love. And I know that not everybody gets the opportunity to do that because not everyone can afford it. I've witnessed some of my teammates not be able to play on the same basketball team as me because they couldn't afford it, which is devastating. And I know when I was younger, even I had to apply for scholarships to be able to do dance classes, but not every dance studio or program has that. So being able to support girls to be able to do the things they love is so important, because for girls especially, they don't have as many opportunities. So being able to open those up for them and help them reach their limitless potential.
What an incredible organization. And you're so young, and to recognize that already and fight for that is really amazing. And so it's a nonprofit, but I also, I was doing a little reading. So what exactly is a community service initiative? And so is that like a required part of becoming Miss Vermont's Teen?
So you have to choose a cause that you care about, that the community could benefit from. So like I said, I chose Limitless Miss. Actually, my first year competing, I had a different community service initiative, which was supporting lung health because my grandmother had lung cancer since she's recovered, and I'm so thankful for that. But making sure people are aware and are careful leading up to their older years so that they have healthy lungs, and it's really important. But I changed it to Limitless Miss because everybody, every girl across the state can benefit from extracurricular activities, and being able to reach such a wide audience is really important.
That's really fantastic. And, you know, I'm curious, like, in terms of, you know, Limitless Miss, but also just your experience with pageants, now becoming Miss Vermont's teen, how has this experience, or how will this experience tie into your long-term goals?
We've had a lot of collaboration with the American Heart Association as well, and Go Red for Women. Heart disease is actually the #1 killer of women ever, more than all cancers.
Wow.
Yeah, which not a lot of people know.
Yeah.
So raising awareness for that, and also keeping people heart healthy, which I do by promoting my community service initiative and letting girls play sports and things like that, and also being an advocate and a good role model for what it means to be heart healthy. But where I'm going with this is that when I grow up, I want to be a cardiologist.
Okay.
Yeah, so being able to collaborate with the American Heart Association and meet people who are in that field has been amazing. And even before I got crowned, I got to shadow cardiology at the hospital, which is an opportunity that I was so thankful for. And I actually met the cardiologists at the State House when we were talking to representatives about getting emergency response plans in schools for if somebody goes into cardiac arrest. And so we were talking to representatives about that, and a bunch of the other Miss Vermont girls were there, as well as other people who care about heart health.
That's like so, I love, you're so young, and you have such a vision of what you want to do with your life, which is, it's really amazing and important, because to start working now towards reaching that just means like you're going to be, you know, you're going to be so successful. And I think that really ties in with Limitless Miss, giving these girls the opportunities to start young and do what they want to do without barriers is so important.
Yeah.
So
I'm so thankful that my parents always told me that I was limitless, because I realized that not everybody has that mindset instilled in them, and they don't realize that if you work hard towards something, it is very possible and like very likely that you will succeed and you will reach that goal. And it's really important to start young. Like, don't waste any time, and figure out what you love and what you care about and work towards that. And it's also really nice because everything is so intertwined, like with heart health and keeping people heart healthy with the American Heart Association and my community service initiative and going to the medical field. All those things are who I am, and they're so different but also are so connected.
Emma, you're so, I love hearing all this from you. You're very well spoken, and you know exactly what you want to do, and it makes me really happy for you. And like, this is an amazing opportunity, and the fact that you have had something every day for the last 9 days, and it's only been 9 days since you've been crowned Miss Vermont's teen, it's a lot. So it seems like you're dealing with it really well, and you're putting it to good use. So I think before we wrap up, I would love for you to just share anything you want to say to young girls who look up to you.
Yeah. Believe in yourself and be comfortable in your own skin. I know it can be hard to discover who you are and discover what you love, but I hope that I can inspire others to try out new things and discover what they love, because the path is not linear. Like, you're going to try things you do and don't like, and things you do like, continue at it and work hard.
That is so true, and I am so thankful you were able to join us today, Emma. And
Thank you so much for having me.
I am looking forward to following your journey over the next year and to nationals, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
And
thank you for your support.
Absolutely. All right, well, thank you all for watching. Do you want to shout out maybe your Instagram or wherever people can learn more about you?
My title holder Instagram is Miss America's Teen VT, And then my personal Instagram is MEMM Danaher, Danaher on Instagram. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Emma.